What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. As wrong as I was about the Lakers series, I've been somewhat on top of this one. I predicted before the series that the Warriors would win in 6 games and that they would probably get blown out in Game 5. This is a somewhat typical series flow for the better team playing without home court advantage. I saw a stat today, actually, that home teams down 3-1 who are favored in Game 5 when they were 30-10 in the last 40 games since 2003. So it was kind of cool to see a stat that kind of matches up with something that I've always kind of felt about this kind of game, which is just it's a really tough game to win, especially when you're the more athletic team. Like, that was the big difference between the Minnesota Lakers game tonight is, like, you know, when you have a home team feeding off their home crowd who's the supremely athletic team, they can be overwhelming. Whereas, like what we saw with Minnesota LA tonight, Minnesota's athleticism travels, and it became something that the Lakers were unable to overcome. But again, that's basically what happens in these series that I see when you have a road team that you pick to win. You steal a game on the road between games 1 and 2. You take home court advantage. You come home and you win games 3 and 4. You punt game 5 because it's a really tough game to win, and then you end up closing things out in game 6. And Houston came out tonight and just kicked Golden State's ass in every phase of the game. They forced the Warriors into 9 turnovers in the first half. Amen Thompson's ball pressure on Steph was amazing. Steph did a poor job of handling it. He got picked clean a bunch of times around half court. The Rockets shot the ball super well. They got 1.67 points per jump shot in the first half. That's outrageous. They shot super well on contested shots too. Dillon Brooks and Fred VanVleet both made like running crazy contested threes right before the half as the Warriors were making their run. Brooks' 3 banked in. It was ridiculous, right? They ran 9 possessions of zone and held the Warriors to just 6 points on those possessions. Fred VanVleet kept up his hot shooting from game 4. Amen Thompson goes for 25 points. He's really starting to showcase his upside. Dillon Brooks had 24. Everything went right for the Rockets. Now, there was an obvious lack of intensity from the Warriors that you know we talked about even leading up into the game, right? So how much of this is translatable for the Rockets to Game 6 back in Golden State? Now, before I talk any further, again, I do not think this will happen. I think the Warriors will take care of business. I think they'll come out and probably win Game 6 relatively comfortably against Houston. I think that when they really engage themselves defensively, they can strangle this Houston offense. And I think that they have the ability to just hit the Jets right out the gates, change the tone and tenor of the game, build a little bit of buffer, and I think they'll be able to stiff arm the Rockets for Game 6. But the Warriors haven't exactly scored well in this series. They're averaging less than 103 points in their 3 wins. The reason why they're up 3-1 is the Rockets haven't been able to score. So the case, if you're going to try to like draw a line between what the Rockets have shown over the course of this series and a potential win in Game 6 back in Golden State and a win in Game 7, what you would try to focus on is that the Rockets have found some success in the half court offensively with the Şengün-Fred VanVleet 2-man game, particularly inverted when Şengün's on the ball. But it at least puts the Warriors in a predicament where they have to switch, and then Şengün can get some favorable matchups there. Now, in theory, if you defend as well as you defended through the rest of this series, and you keep things low scoring enough, and Fred and Alperen Şengün generate enough offense, they absolutely can win that game 6, and take it home for a Game 7 against Golden State. But I don't think they will. I think this was a textbook example of just a really tough closeout game to win on the road against a young, super athletic team. Just tip the cap for the Rockets tip the cap to the Rockets for throwing a great punch. But I expect the Warriors to show that veteran resolve when they get home on Friday night.